Hey Storm Nation, Hank Boomershine here. I'm going to talk a little more R&D with you today. A lot of things going on in the Storm Nation here in 2023, and there's a lot of exciting things that have happened so far. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about what's inside the DNA and what makes it so special, and how to compare it to a ball that's just came out here in January with an absolute, and how does it compare to what's in the DNA. 247, a little lower RG, 53 total differential, and then 23 intermediate. So a little bit stronger, but we achieved this by two different shapes. We achieved this by a little bit similar principles, but a little different as well too. We create the length in the part to create the differential in relation to the x-axis, where the pin's located, to the y-axis, and then the z-axis. So we create that differential, or the total length gives us that kind of the initial RG and diff value, but now we get the intermediate. The unique thing about the intermediate is we've created this very large band around the center of, and I'm a big fan of big volume, big mass around the equator of the weight block, so that we know that when we let go of it, it's got a lot of mass in the center, centralized in the ball, so that it, as you're trying to get it to go down the lane, it wants to read it. It doesn't go past it, doesn't push through it. It reads through the middle of the lane a lot better. So now you take a big cover, low RGs, a high differential, a big intermediate, and then we do the cutaway towards the y-axis, so that we start turning it a little bit. We don't start to adjust too much. We kind of keep the integrity a little bit with that as well too. So kind of a double bonus here is you get the mid lane, you get the dynamic integrity. We're trying to maintain it throughout that drilling cycle, throughout that shot path down the lane. So all those things kind of go together, is trying to make a complement in the entire line. So in the Premier line, another big asymmetric ball, but vastly different from what we did with the absolute. Still got some cutaways, but if you look, look at the shapes in relation to each other, a lot more body mass around that YZ axis versus a lot of cutaway here. But we still did a little bit of cutaway along that Y, so that it does maintain that dynamic integrity. The Sentinel core that we came out with the absolute in January, very unique in its design, using a little bit of the storied past from a few other shapes that have come out of this building and we've put together, where we create a lot of body mass. We do the cutaways along that Y and Z axis to give us the maintaining of dynamic integrity. A lot of mass to the x-axis on both sides to the poles, so it creates a weight block that's a little more torquey. And so when it does read and sees the friction, it sees it pretty strong and wants to continue off of that spot. But a lot of shape through the middle back of the lane. So what makes the Supercoil core so much different, but yet a complement to the Sentinel core? So the Supercoil, big thing about it is we created the length from the x-axis, where's the pin. So we create that length that gives us that differential. If you notice in height of the core, it's not too much difference, is there? So weight-wise, body mass is pretty similar, but we just shift where that weight is in that weight block. So in the Supercoil weight block, we gave it a lot of body mass around the equator. So between the y-axis, so the mass bias would be here, to the z-axis, we have a big body mass. What that does, and we've seen historically through the years, is it gives us a ball that wants to read through the middle of the lane. So the unique thing is about being a low RG at 247 and 53, big split at 23 means it has a lot of where it wants to continue to torque. When it does start to slow down and come offline and get going along its preferred spin axis, we do have that big body mass, but we have a lot of diff that lets it keep going. A little bit different than this one, where this one's a little torqueier and can be more angular down the lane. This one's going to read the middle, but still have a lot of motion and continuation down lane, because that body mass is always wanting to give it a little bit more energy traveling through the pin. So that gives that Supercoil weight block that uniqueness, makes it a little bit different, both in shape, where it wants to motion, how it motions. Where this one wants to read more in the middle, continue. This one wants to go a little farther, be a little torqueier. So two great complements in the Premier line for 2023. And there's a lot more great stuff coming, Storm Nation, so stay tuned.